Good morning, everybody. It's me, Mitch. The subject for today is electrolytes. I get a lot of questions. Do you take electrolytes? What electrolytes do you take? How much of these electrolytes do you take? Why do you take these electrolytes? Why do you think you need to take these electrolytes? Very misunderstood. I started taking electrolytes initially because I had some leg cramps and things like that, but those have resolved completely. I haven't had any adverse effects of what I think might be symptoms from taking too many electrolytes. I've taken into account pretty much the standard foods that I eat and what the content of some of these different electrolytes is in those foods. Since the recommended amount of potassium that they think we need varies from 3 to 5,000 milligrams a day, this bacon alone is not going to give me what is anywhere close to that recommended dose. When looking at most of the commercially available electrolyte supplements out there, I find it absurd to find potassium concentrations sometimes below 100 milligrams when we're supposed to be getting 3 to 5,000 milligrams a day. An electrolyte intake that you finally settle on is a highly individual thing. Somebody sweating all day in the hot sun is going to need a hell of a lot more electrolytes than somebody sitting around watching TV that eats a diet rich in these different electrolytes. And by electrolytes, I mean the three main ones, although, calcium can be considered, any mineral can be considered an electrolyte, I suppose. But you've got sodium, potassium, and magnesium. These different minerals do different things in our body. You may have plenty of one and not enough of the other, so it's an individual thing. And then you have to figure, on top of all of that, how am I going to take these things? Am I going to take them in drinks? Am I going to take pills, capsules? And how much are they going to cost? Some of these things are very, very expensive. So what I finally settled for myself is I need between 400 and 800 milligrams of magnesium a day to make sure that I sleep well, I don't get leg cramps at night. And I use magnesium citrate because that has a mild laxative effect. There's many forms of these different electrolytes too. You can get magnesium chloride, magnesium glycinate, magnesium citrate. They all contain the magnesium, but they all come in compounds because none of us are eating raw potassium. It's a metal. None of us are eating raw sodium. It's a metal. These electrolytes are basically metals. What I came up with works great for me and should work great for most people, but there's no guarantees of that. I put out a video a while back, how to save a ton of money on electrolytes and mix your own. It was an adventure. I came up with an electrolyte mix that I have been making and using for a few months. For myself, I packaged it in an extremely professional looking package. This happens to be an old Dr. Berg's electrolyte jar. And this is the mixture that I made. I mix it up 100 doses at a time, and I make it from bulk ingredients. And it costs me a fraction of what it would cost to buy these packets of pre-made electrolytes. But what I've come up with is an unflavored drink that I put in 40 some ounces of filtered water. I make this up every morning, and this is one dose, which is 1 teaspoon of the finished powder of my electrolyte drink, and it contains exactly what I've settled on, and I think most people would be very, very happy with as far as the final doses of the actual potassium, sodium, and magnesium. This is my water now. It's almost enough water for an entire day, and that's what I do. This particular thermos, which I got on Amazon, is fabulous for that because it has a straw attachment, and I just, whenever I get thirsty, instead of getting a glass of water, I just drink out of this until it's gone. Then if I get thirsty after that, I'll drink plain water. That's how I do it. And later in this video, I'm going to actually show you how I mix it up in here. And I've decided on a particular formula and particular ingredients, which I ordered from Amazon. And of course, the links will be available down in the description and on my website in the Stuff I Use Every Day page, if you think you might want to play chemist like me. Mix these things up, save yourself a little money. If you don't want to do it, I think you'll still find this video interesting and maybe educational about electrolytes. So I hope you enjoy it. Here's what we're doing. We are going to use potassium chloride. Now I've sped this thing up here because the whole video is out there and the link is in the description of this video. But I wanted to just show you a brief section of what it's about and how I give you complete directions on exactly how much of everything you need, how to measure it, and make the final electrolyte mix. So here's my routine. Every day I mix up in this 44-ounce thermos some of my homemade electrolytes, and we'll talk about that later. And I just drink on it all day as kind of a water replacement. Now this is unflavored. Tried to get off the sweet flavored electrolytes. By making it myself, I save an absolute fortune. Put 1 teaspoon of my mix into the thermos. 40 something ounces of water. Little ice. Shake it up real good. And then anytime during the day when I'm thirsty, I just sip out of this. Now the good news is that even though it's unflavored, when you dilute it that much, it has almost no taste whatsoever in the final mix. So I was able to get off of wanting the sweet taste because, believe it or not, the sweetened electrolytes were the last sweet tasting thing that I ever, found myself not craving, but I kind of go out of my way for that little bit of sweet taste. And since I started using these electrolytes that are unflavored and not having had any sweet food, I found that it just makes things a lot easier, and I just really don't miss it. I'm also going to cut away in this video and go over the National Institute of Health's recommended amounts of these different electrolytes from a paper, and I'll put the link to that below in the description so you can read that entire 7 or 8 page document that talks about each electrolyte individually and whether you think that applies to you or how much you need. Now, I've linked 2 different papers from the National Library of Medicine that talk about electrolytes. The first one, number 11, is titled Water and Electrolytes, and it's something that I really think you should read through. It talks about water, sodium, potassium, chloride, and gives references. The second paper is on magnesium exclusively, and it goes into tremendous detail, as much as you want to learn, about the RDA, recommended daily allowance, and the different types. Now, the links to both these documents are down in the description of this video. Now, everybody's got different advice on everything. The hardest part is, well, where do I go to find out the real advice? Generally, I don't trust the government for anything. But I don't think that this advice on electrolytes is tainted by any corruption anywhere, because nobody is really relying on that to make a ton of money. Yeah, these supplement manufacturers make money, but the government has no stake in what they recommend. Very little of the economy is based on how much magnesium is sold in the form of electrolytes. So I hope that by the time I get done doing cutaways to these various different things that I'm going to do in this video, that you get the picture. In the description, there'll be links to the government article about electrolytes that pretty well spells out the recommended daily allowance, my video showing how I make these things, maybe some additional comments about that video about what to be careful of when you're mixing them, because I've had a lot of questions about people who basically confused grams and milligrams, and that caused all kinds of errors. And I think I've straightened most of them out, but it kind of needs an addendum. And hopefully it'll be clear and help you decide whether you need any, if you need any, which ones you're going to take, whether you want to play chemist and mix it for yourself. So that'll do it. I'll finish cooking my breakfast. If you have any questions, put them in the comments of this video and I'll answer you. And if that's it, you can now take the rest of the day off and eat meat.